Who told you? Who told you? Who told you? Who told you? You what? God design, God design.
Boy, buddies, what's the deal, boy, buddies? Tonight, we got a very special live episode. Thank you for joining. Welcome. Hold on. Pardon, pardon me. A little late today. Got a new camera that we're working with. Hold on, let me get this audio. Yeah, so boy, buddies, can you hear me? Is it an echo? Can you hear this? Boy, buddies, we good? Okay. Yeah, I think we good now. What's the deal, board buddies? Pardon the interruption. We back with another live episode. Thank you for joining. If you don't know what's going on, you're welcome to the Boerboel show. Tonight we got a very special episode. We're gonna do some clarification. This is the Boerboel breakdown and discussion. You're welcome to join. Hey, as long as you're respectful, we don't mind. If you got something that you'd like to contribute, come on in. You know what? Let me just put this real camera on here. I know this is cool, but hold on. Let me see something because it was. I thought something was wrong with my camera, but it was actually my cord, and this microphone is bothering me. Hold on. Here I am, buddy. Oh, this is even worse. Hold on. Okay, that's better. What's going on? Can y'all hear me? Please let me know is the volume coming in correct. Maybe I need to. Hello? Yeah, okay. Now I think that we good. Yeah, sorry. I don't know what's going on. Everybody's trying to. All right. All right, y'all. We back again with another live. There we go. Like it's supposed to go. I'm your host, Jordan Pittman, and today we're going to break down the board. Well, it's a whole lot of hype talking about these types. People can feel what's going on with my bro. I've been worried about you. We back. I'm happy New Year. Thank you, man. What's up with my bro, man? Thanks for popping in on me. And worried about y'all. Everybody, every day is a gift. Yeah, it's cherish every moment. Make the most of it, boy, buddies. For real. I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. And nothing better, no, I couldn't think of a better place to be than here. And I'm here with y'all. And I got a great show for you that I have prepared. I spent time. Well, this is something that I've been passionate about for a long time, and it's something that we deal with in the breed, and people feel like that it's not true, and you got different ideas. So today we're talking about the four different types of the Boerboel. I feel that is something that is good to discuss. A lot of people different opinions, their thoughts, but I'm gonna break it down and I'm gonna explain why it is that way. And it's simple. If you see it, you see a lot of different breeds. You put this link if you got something to say, because you know what, this is an open conversation. Or, bruh, what's up with you, Mr. Hatfield? Let me know. Can you hear me? Okay, man, I'm coming in loud and clear because on my end, I'm catching a heck of an echo. Just let me know if you can hear me okay before I really get started. Check my equipment. Maybe I need to leave out because I hate to do this whole long thing. And then gonna find out the volume was all messed up. Can you hear me okay, honey? Or buddies, can you hear me okay? Well, large in point, I feel that it's good to discuss this, and we're gonna clarify some things tonight. It's a whole lot to get understood. I think that we've been being misled, large in part, to believe that it's only supposed to be one way, that there's only one way, the right way. And I feel like that we've been misled often to believe that what others feel is right, and like we don't have a of our own. And I feel that it's important for people to understand the direction of the exotic Boerboel family as well as the breed. We don't get a good handle on this now. Oh yeah, let me activate this. We don't get a handle on this now. We could be done. And then so we need to know, understand what we're doing before we get started. We gotta take a look at where we have been in the past, what things of the past, the trends, that the way that it's been, how did we arrive here, and it's something that we commonly, quite often talk about. So we're gonna talk about it again. And then, I mean, it's an open discussion, and you're welcome to join. Posted the link if you got something to say. You're welcome to pop in on us, because you know what we say. Everybody don't agree. You breaking up? Okay. Let me pop this out and try this again. How about now? I think I got it figured out. I had two screens open at the same time. But now we good. Y'all, hey, tell me, let me know you can hear me loud and clear now. Am I still breaking up, family? How about now? Can you hear me good now? Am I coming in clear? Okay, cool. What's going on, board buddies? Thank you for joining. Hey, it takes a little bit of troubleshooting sometimes, but which we don't gonna do, what we ain't gonna never do, is just give up. We gonna keep on shooting until we get a shot, till we hit something. Now, with that being said, I'm your host, Jordan Pittman, 20 years in the game, and I'm speaking from a standpoint of experience. This is based off of my research in the breed, being a dog lover, being a enthusiast beyond just a owner. Okay. And I got a lot of hands-on experience, and I'm going to speak to you, from a standpoint of looking at dogs on the line. I do a lot of looking at dogs online. I've been involved with this breed intimately. If you don't know me, who I am, this is who I am. I've been involved with the Boerboels specifically, intimately, every single day of my life for the last 20 years now. And I'm a breeder, And I'm going to have these dogs no matter what, because they're the best dogs in the planet. And I'm here to promote and talk about this breed that we love. We're going to break it down to the fur, to the single fur. And the reason that we do this is in effort because we believe that the Boerboel could be the best dog that the world has ever seen. And we are aiming to produce the best dog the world has ever seen. And it takes a group, it takes a family, it takes a community. And this is to build a community. We're going to arm you with information. We're going to fill you up. We're not going to let you down. We're going to use it as a sword and a shield. We're going to aim to defend ourselves, and we're going to empower ourselves with knowledge. Knowledge is power. And here you can learn from a lot of my experience. You could take the lesson without the lump. So let's get into it. I feel good. I hope you do too. Boer buddies. So now we talking about the different types of Boerboels today. Why is this relevant? Why is this? Because people get it confused. They all mixed up. They don't have an idea, or they don't want to they don't understand. And so I want to give you a better understanding of what you're looking at, what you're seeing out here. And because you got to know what you're getting yourself into. And the reason why everything got a purpose. That's why we here. Everybody got a purpose. And my purpose is these dogs, right? I just came to the conclusion. This is what I've been doing, and it's what I'm good at, and it's something that I don't feel like is a job. So that's why I'm here. And so if you want to know, we're getting into these variations and why they exist. People feel like the Boerboel is just like all the rest of these dogs, which is true. Yeah, the Boerboel is just like another dog. All dogs are dogs. That is true. But when we start getting into this idea of concepts of breeds and purity, there's the breed standard, and people are saying that they believe it's only one type of Boerboel. Well, the Boerboel is not a refined breed, and that's why we have these 4 distinct types of dog and variations that exist within the breed itself. Okay, so let's get that understood. All of these dogs have variations. What are variations? Is the varieties that we see: bigger sizes, taller, slimmer builds, and they lend to different abilities. So traditionally, dogs have been selected based off of their abilities. That's the only reason that we would have a dog. If we was tight with the food, if we couldn't go to the grocery store and we had to hunt and we had to farm everything, and we was basically working for every morsel that we ate, then a dog might be essential. He would be an asset, and we wouldn't keep a dog around that wasn't worthy. So let's get that understood. Dogs have always been around to serve us, and because we live different lifestyles, we have different type of hobbies, or we had different type of landscapes that we live in, different type of climates. We got different type of environments. We got different type of game that we hunting, right? That's native to our geographic environment. So that calls for different type of dogs. That's why we would have these different type of varieties. Now, let's keep the show flowing and going, because I don't want to get off. I will get off track. But so we talking about variations. If you think about all of these different breeds, right? When people would come across each other, they would say, "Hey, man, well, I'm raising maybe sheep that was for lamb wool, and someone else may be raising sheep for lamb for meat. So I might have a different style of a sheep. My sheep may be bigger." Okay, this is another case and example of a variation that is this. Or you may be raising cattle for beef, and I'll be maybe raising cattle for milk. So there goes a different variation, but both of these cattle can breed or intermingle, and then they'll produce different varieties. These are variations. So this is another example of variations, and this is an intentional, deliberate, and domesticated animals. This is what breeders do. We domesticate, we selectively breed, and then because we're looking for a purpose. We're trying to solve a problem. We need an assistant. We need a better helper. We need more meat. We need more milk. We need more wool. Okay. And then we would breed the one that has the more wool, or so on and so forth. And then we arrive at different varieties based off of our needs. When we get into these dogs, and it exists in all different dogs, but here's where the catch, and this is where it gets tricky. So we're going to touch into another example where we get into dogs, right? Let's start talking dogs now, dogs exclusively. Now, what happens in dogs is we've been led to believe that it's a concept of purity. Purity. What is purity? How did this concept arrive? What were we trying to create as a man, as a human being? Because if you look at working dogs, if you look at huskies, if you look at bulldogs, if you look at terriers, if you look at setters, if you look at hound dogs, all of these different dogs have a show type and a working type. And then within those different breeds, let's say if we were just classifying the dog based off of his job, like a setter or a pointer, his job is to point. Most of the different distinctions are based off of color or features, fur type, the way that the dog look, appearance. So when we start selecting these dogs based off of a strict visual criteria, what happens is only that criteria exists. So we also are breeding within a closed gene pool, within a selected family of dogs. Only these dogs, because what happens, I might be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but this has to be understood. We selecting the very basic elements of a dog. So we pick out certain components that we deem to be desirable, and we're going to use that as a framework for the ideal that we only want to breed this specific type because we're championing this kind, and this is what the judges or the standard or whatever is we want to breed through this type. Because remember, one thing that we have to understand about human beings is the desire, the need to be socially accepted. So part of this has to do with human psychology. So when you're getting into the mind, people, why are we doing this with dogs? It's about the ego. Someone want to be able to express that I am better, or my dog is strong, my dog, because it's not really, dog breeding, showing, when we're getting into the way that we select dogs and champion dogs, when we start to really understand how we arrive at these different types, the way that these distinctions, these breeds, these classifications, if we're calling it what it really is, for what it's worth, it's a classification to identify value. Nothing more, nothing less. It's about the identification of value, because if we really wanted to measure whether a dog is true to its function and true to its form, to its original purpose, we will be judging a dog if it can point, in field trials. And that's what people do. Real working dog people do. And because of that, we select on that. So when you think about working breeds, huskies is a great example. And I love the husky because it's a hardy breed. It's still functional. And I'm talking about not the husky that we see on TV, which is the show type. Well, it depends on which show that you're watching, because saw they have a show called Iditarod. But if you get out there and you look at these dogs, some people might say, well, no, them ain't huskies, them is mutts, because they're all different types. The real working huskies, the ones that pull sleds, the Alaskan huskies, one of the second most popular type of husky outside of in the mushing community is the Alaskan husky, not the Alaskan Malamute. These dogs come in a bunch of different varieties and looks, and they all play different roles in their pack. It's a team of dogs, and it's the reason why dogs are bred and born that way. We getting ahead. So let me keeping the pushing. We talking about litters. Dogs are born in litters. That's why they have packs. They got these roles. Exactly what I'm talking about. You got a bunch of dogs born together. They grow up together as a team. Think about wolves. Every dog have a role to play, and every dog is not the leader. You got a swing man and a wing man. You got somebody that's watching the back. Everybody is playing a role. It's just like on a football team. A litter. Dogs are born in the litter. They're not born as clones. They're not clones. They're not all uniform, because remember, dogs are evolving. They're changing this as a species. They're adapting. They're still growing. So it only makes sense that some dogs going to thrive while some dogs going to merely survive. Some dogs is going to rise to the top, and then some dogs are going to sink. They might not be worthy of breeding. And that's nature. That's nature. But we getting into supplementing and getting into these soft dogs and doing all of this extra stuff for the dog and making it weak. That's all you really doing is producing a bloodline of weak. Because guess what? If your dog can't be outside in the cold and they need coats and boots and stuff, and then you use that dog for breeding, he got to be in air conditioning in the summer and heat in the winter, and he can't be outside, then the next generation of dogs are going to be just like that or lesser. They don't get better as time goes. But we talking about when the dog is born, we talking about a group of dogs and they roles in a pack. That's the whole reason that you have a bunch of dogs, and they're not born like that as individuals nowhere in the world. Pardon me, boy buddies. Yeah, but like I said though, think about it. If you got, like, okay, Maple, like I said though, it makes sense. Dogs are born in a group. We born in family, and even amongst your brothers and sisters, there's gonna be differences. Certain ones, people gonna have different temperaments. People gonna have different sizes. They're gonna have different abilities. And like with global warming comes, hey, maybe this body style lend to adapting to the environment better, and I might produce more offspring. So it gets into my next slide, my next point. You know what, board buddies? Pardon me one moment, because pardon me. Yeah. But we talking about litters and dogs being born in groups. Dogs born in a team. Think about your brothers and sisters. Think about your family. Think about you as an individual. We all got our strengths. That doesn't mean that we don't need each other, or we don't need one another, or one person is better than the other, or we all supposed to be the same. And then it's insane to think that we all supposed to be one and the same. And it don't apply to dogs. I'm gonna give you another good working example, right? Why a dog, how this works, and dogs' migratory behavior and living in packs. You really want to understand the naturalness of it. Let's talk about these tigers, right? That live. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the tigers that's in India, but they look really cool. And I was in the bookstore the other day, and I was hanging out with my daughters, and I was looking at the books, and this magazine jumped out at me, and it was National Geographic, because I like nature, and they had this all black cat on there, the all black tiger. And they were talking about the tiger, how it is a solitary animal. They don't have a whole bunch of tigers when they born, right? But this tiger, they was down to only 4. And one of them was it was 1 male and 3 females. One of them carried the gene for the all black coat for the double up on the stripes. And they got them on this reservation because they're trying to conserve the species. And I'm gonna tie this in back to the dogs too, because it make a lot of sense. If you breeding dogs, right, and you believe in this standard and in purity and its purification, right? Let's tie it into dogs. Back into dogs with these tigers. We're talking about tigers. So now we got this distinct type. It starts with 1. They started out with 4 tigers, 1 all black male. They breed this male. He's, tigers living in this jungle, but it's isolated because they destroyed a lot of their natural habitat. And it's too much cities for the tigers to be able to cross back and forth undetected. Tiger like to move in stealth. So they then isolated this section of tigers. And now these tigers is down to 4 because they done hunted them almost into extinction. Now we got 30. They done went 20 years. They done counted up the 30 tigers. They done reproduced 30 tigers. Everybody pumped. They going to visit this spot because they got 15 black tigers. You can get some pictures. You're going viral. Catch one of these all black tigers, you're going viral. Everybody going out there to visit. Scientists is worried. They like extremely astonished. And I'll pull up one of the black tigers so you can see. They look cold, right? I'm sure people trying to look into, breeding them and whatnot. But they getting these black tigers. Geneticists is worried. Okay, they worried to death because these tigers contain this rare gene. Now, compare that to dogs, you would think, oh, that's the same thing. They done made their own distinct breed. They got the all black tiger with the all black stripes. The same way that we isolated a select gene that we like. This is how we create a breed. So let's call this the black tiger. Now, scientists are worried about this black tiger, even though that they able to reproduce itself with this consistency because they isolated the genetic. Most of these tigers are the same. Most of these tigers because they all related, they all offspring. But why is it dangerous and why is it a problem? Well, the tiger is a critical part of the ecosystem in the jungle, for one, and they can potentially go extinct due to some type of rare illness. So one tiger, let's say because they're so genetically identical, because they all carry this same genetic package that allows for this all black tiger gene. Well, this same genetic package could potentially make them susceptible to some type of environmental stress. Say it could be or because they're all related and they're so inbred, they have a compromised immune system because that makes a species weaker. And now one gets sick, they all get sick, and they don't get a little sick, they get sick enough to die or pass away. So this is the problem with, we bring it back to dogs. Every breed has a known defect is associated with that breed, quote unquote, especially pure breed or quote unquote family of dogs. Now, does that make sense? Let me know if y'all following along, if I'm breaking it down simple enough, or do I need to get a little deeper? These tigers have formed their own breed, the same way that we formed our own Boerboel race of Boerboels, a genetic identity. The scientists are worried because of genetic defects associated with the tiger isolated genetic package that allows it to reproduce this gene. And what they're worried about is how quickly that they're seeing this replication of this rare genetic mutation. So it sets the type very fast through this inbreeding. This is why we use it as breeders as a tool to set the type. We want to create consistency. Remember, we trying to arrive at this standard, right? So when we getting into dogs, we talking about dog breeding, standardized dog breeding. When we talk about standardized dog breeding, we getting into champions, right? We getting into competition, professional dog fancying, dog showing, dog fanciers, where we are trying to identify or quote unquote preserve a breed based off the way that it looks purely. Oh my goodness! Just speaking on that, I got all of these slides. I'm gonna go west. Uh-oh. Here you go. Don't worry, boy buddies. I'm still here. I ain't went nowhere. Yeah. Don't worry, I'll make it worth your while. There I go. Told you I'll be back. My fault, boy buddies. My camera went dead, but you know what? It don't change nothing that I said. I still got the message. The message is still the same. Like I was saying, we get into these dog breeds. We get into these selection process. We trying to isolate a type. And the same way that they've done with these tigers is the same way that we do with our dogs or have done with our dogs. And that's why every dog breed has these genetic defects associated with it. And we comparing it to this tiger that's in India. And we're thinking about the way with the Boerboels being a traditionally healthy breed. And also, yeah, what I was getting to was the popular sires. And we was talking about how when we breeding dogs, we talking about dog fancying, we talking about dog showing, and we talking about popular sires. We was getting down to popular sires. And the reason that we bring that up is because everybody is chasing a style or everybody is chasing a type. What style is they chasing? Is the one that's that champion. Everybody want that certain blood. For example, I'm gonna give you a perfect example that we can all relate to that applies to this breed is will be like everybody want that Balto. Okay, let's say Balto, or let's say any popular dog. We're gonna use Balto. And this is why you have to you can't breed every dog. What happens is it's called breeding yourself into a corner. Hold on, I got some really good slides that'll help explain this. And I'll talk as I try to find it, bring it up. Hold on. But what I was saying though, yeah, when we're talking about these popular sires, talking about popular sires. And so you select a certain one, and then he breeds to all of the dogs because he's got a shorter muzzle or he got a bigger head or he got the desired features. Because we're not really measuring, hey, can the dog run or can the dog hunt or if he can jump. We're not really measuring how much can he pull. We're not putting the dog to no task. We just selecting based off of what's popular. To be honest, will look good. A lot of cases. Think about it. You use your eyes, but that's what we're trying to do. The real when you start getting into this higher level dog, when you start getting into this, it's so much more to what this dog than what you see. You know, it's so much behind the Boerboel. It's so much behind it with arriving. You got to think about all of the dogs that were selected that came before it. That's why we consider the pedigree. I got some great slides for you. Genotype and phenotype. That's all it is. It's all about that. Yeah, that's what we breaking down. Genotype. And see, this is basic. When you love dogs, when you crazy about dogs, when you breeding dogs, right? But here we go. I got one for you. Yeah, we talking about the founder's effect and how what that does to dogs. Because one dog breeds to a lot of dogs, and we don't breed outside the family. And what we try to do is concentrate this look. We try to concentrate this style. We try to concentrate this variety. Another example for our breed that might be relative to the Boerboel would be Rambo, or everybody running their dog to Rambo. Yes, you hear that a lot. That's why you hear people talking about, well, I'm looking for a dog without Rambo. I can't seem to find one. Well, how does that happen? Well, that's popular sire syndrome. Everybody chasing this style. He's known was to deliver this prepotent or reproduce itself over and over again. And when you have that, you know, we pretty much know what we're gonna do, what we're gonna get, what to expect. So we got this expectation of consistency, or we know these features are going to be present. But what else is present when you start doubling up on this genetic package? Because you don't also double up on the good, you double up on the bad. Word buddies, talk to me and let me know if this stuff is making sense. Do you understand the things that I'm saying? Is it making sense to you, boy buddies? Boy, bud, what's up? Yeah. I'm trying to break it down. That's all. You know, we just talking. How do we end up? How did we end up here? And where are we going? We got to look at history, because history repeats itself. And this ain't the first time that this been done. Okay? This ain't the first time that it's been done. This is something that happened before. We ain't the first ones to be breeding dogs, and this ain't the first working breed that's done went public, done went viral, and now facing extreme popularity, and everybody have an idea based off of, because this is the thing with dogs and why we got so much space, because there is no general understanding. We're not taught this in school in most cases. There is no class about dog breeding or breeding dogs or science of mating and understanding mating and all of the things that go along with it. And when you don't understand it, you misuse it, or you misapply it, or you kind of right. You narrow it down to a small select. So remember, and why is this so irrelevant? Why do I keep going over this? And it was so interesting when I first started. A lot of people had, was hush hush. But remember, the Boerboel is a working breed of dog, just like that working Malamute, just like that working setter, just like the hound dogs, is not far removed from the farm. And any of these working style dogs, you're going to see this variation, because why? They prioritizing the actual task. Can the dog fulfill the task? me see something. Well, we'll post them the slides later. I can still post them later. But the point that I'm making is the founder's effect in these dogs, in all dog breeds, they are the reason people go out, they select these dogs. They are the reason that we have the breed in general in the first place, because of a group of dogs that we selected that we're gonna breed within this family. So we continue to breed within this family, and then what happens is we arrive at a consistent expectation that we're going to produce every single time. But not only do we produce a certain look, we also produce a certain defect. Be it, for example, it could be bloat. We're starting to see a lot more of these things popping up within the breed. We're starting to see a lot of dogs not making it to 10. Some real popular dogs, including, and then I'm not, it's not beyond my breeding program also, but I'm one of the only people that's willing to say it affects me too. And in the breed, we're starting to see some of the same things that's happening with other breeds happen with the Boerboel, where you have this very delicate breed, can't go outside, needing all of this special, can't be outside in the cold, can't be outside in the hot. It's got to be very ideal conditions. The dog is riddled with skin issues. The dog's riddled with it doesn't even have allowed to be a dog. You're talking about bloat. You got to have special diets. You got to have special supplements. And then we haven't gotten that far in the Boerboel, but it does happen in other breeds. What is this a result of? Well, inbreeding depression and shrinking gene pools. Now, not only do we lock in some of our desired traits and characteristics, example, let's say a pushed in head or a block muzzle in the front, block head in the back, but we also lock in these genetic defects due to directly associated with these traits and characteristics. For example, if you think about the bulldogs, if you think about the pushed in muzzle in a bulldog, the way that it hinders its ability to breathe naturally because it's an exaggeration and a mutation. If you think about the Boerboel, sometimes in many cases, like with the exaggerated barrel chest, it causes the dog to not be able to breathe properly, potentially susceptible to bloat. If you talk about the dog's size, joint issues, all of these exaggerations lead to decreased ability. You compromise some of a dog's ability to do something. Every time you tip the scale in one direction, you tip the scale in the other direction. So these are things to keep in mind, why it makes sense to have different styles and types in a varied gene pool, because the Boerboel is not far removed from the farm. This is a newly standardized breed that is still being refined. When we're talking about the Boerboel, we're talking about not the Bull Mastiff or some of these other breeds that's been traditionally bred for the last 100 years. The Boerboel being not far removed from the farm, you got different styles of farms, different styles of work. Then you get different varieties. It makes sense. And it's a good thing because you need a team. That's the natural way. But modern civilized society calls for us to be experts, calls for us to be master manipulators. We want to be in control. It's something, like I say, It's always an ego thing and have really nothing to do in the best interest of the dog. It's always a way for a person to say mine is pure, yours is not, yours is mixed. But let me tell you something. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that it's contrary to popular belief that is mutt is somehow inferior. If you look at the actual, if we judging dogs based off of the results, we judging dogs based off of the proof, the championship. We look at AKC agility dog shows, you see that mutts consistently outperform yes, baby. They mutts consistently outperform the work of the purebred counterparts. The only thing that the purebred varieties that truly excel at is look. It's like a supermodel. There is no. It's not a real true purpose functioning bred purely for cosmetic purposes only. Now, when you looking at a Boerboel, it doesn't have all of those muscles just to look at least mine don't. It's not a big, strong dog just to look that way. It's got a purpose. And you're not going to get that just by having a dog genetically. The thing is, the dog's got to have room to run. The dog's got to be able to exercise. You got to be giving them the right foods and whatnot. But no, we prioritize on what it looked like. How big is the head? How much does it weigh? Which is superficial. It's cosmetic. And it doesn't really matter to the dog's true value at the core, which is in his heart. Because that's what my dog does. That's what my dog touches me at, is in the heart. It ain't so much about how big or how much that it weigh. But what we end up with is a shrunken gene pool. And a lot of so did. And they try to reproduce that mutt. And think about this. All of the time, everybody trying to get back to the original dogs, those first dogs. The beginning. They talk about the old dogs, the dogs of old, the dogs in history. I remember the first Boerboels. I remember the first back in the day, the original style, the original type. It was very different. Well, those dogs were closer to the original crosses. It's all of this like very close, tight line breeding with no real idea or understanding of genetics and mating. Is how we have arrived here. That's why the dogs are not the way that the original dogs were. The original dogs, and the further that we get away from the dogs that we had in the past, the tighter the closed the gene pool is, the tighter that the family becomes, the more consistent that the dog is, the less like it is its ancestors. And it only in the way that it performs, it just appears that way. So when you're getting into real dog, man, and talking about old bulldog sitting on somebody, that's where we at with it. Gene pool. So we was getting into the health effects, and this is where these defects come from. People trying to figure it out. People trying all of this health testing. You see real professionals from the top to the bottom talking about ethical, trying to figure out where do these mutations come from. It was never like this when I was growing up. I don't remember dogs were so healthy. We just let them breed naturally on their own. We didn't have to go through C-sections. We didn't have to do this artificial insemination. Everything, we just let the dogs outside. We didn't feed them no special dog food. The dog just ate what we ate, or we just bought the dog regular cheap dog food. It didn't need these special supplements, didn't need this special diet, didn't need boots for the winter, didn't need a coat for the winter, didn't need air conditioning for the summer. The dog didn't need a fan. The dog wasn't going to overheat. And people always back in the day. Well, yeah, back in the day, we getting down into the nitty gritty, the last of the ladder. But It's just getting so crazy. We just done tossed all logic out the window, and we just doing what somebody said was the way. But let me tell you, we've been lied to. Let me tell you, we've been misled. And the Boerboel is one of the best breeds on the planet because people were selecting it based off its ability. And I think because you got a blend and you got so much variation in the background, that is that's a perfect justification for different types and styles. Seriously, man. Seriously. I'm dead serious when I say that. Dogs need boots for the winter. Yeah. I see people outside, dogs shivering. You know why that's happening? And that's why I brought up them Alaskan Huskies. You see all different style of Huskies, but the interesting thing is these dogs are more genetically identical or closer genetically than when they're looking at the DNA from a genetic standpoint than their purebred counterparts, their show style counterparts that have this same consistency, that the same consistent look. Ain't that an interesting fact? And that's a fact. You can look it up for yourself. But if you look at herding dogs, if you look at all of these different style of dogs, why would the Boerboel be any different? It's a working dog. It's coming off the farm. You got dogs living in packs. You got dogs living in teams. Teams have different positions. Teams have different roles. Teams have different players. Teams have different sizes. We are not all the same. I might be a resource guy. You might be a labor guy. We have to work together in order to have an economy. Somebody else might have the goods. Somebody else might got it the stove. It takes a team. It takes a village. And what I'm saying is the way that we've been led, the way that we've been told is divisive. And they have ulterior health effects on our dogs. And everybody trying to figure out why. Instead of working together, we working apart, working separated. And what does that lead to? Health issues. Because we're trying to isolate genetics. We don't want to share it within. What I'm saying is all dogs is related, and no dog is better than the other. If you really look at the way that we've been born, some dog is bred for something else, and it might not fit what you have it to do, and that's on you. You got to find the right dog that's for you, and you got to think about your needs and what you want the dog to do. Most of the time, most people don't even need a dog at all. But the problem, it's coming down for sure. Kibble does lead to health. Yeah, it's definitely, and it's just like not what we did back in the day. Let me show that. So, in closing, wow. I can't believe y'all we done got down this far this fast. I'm gonna give it to y'all. I'm gonna give y'all a little bit more because I'm gonna give y'all a little bit extra because we started off slow. What y'all want to know? It's Q&A right here. Y'all can get. I don't know what happened to my music. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all want to hear. What y'all questions. We finna close it out, boy, buddies. All right, yeah, we're gonna keep it rolling. But what I'm saying, we're getting into the state of the breed and how does this actually relate to the Boerboel, the dog that we love, our primary concern, Not that any is any more important than any other dog, because we love them all. But we talk about the breed, the Boerboel breed. That's the extension of us, Boer buddies. We love the Boerboel. So how does this relate to the Boerboel? Well, we don't want the Boerboel to suffer the same fate as all of these other breeds. Like when we're talking about them extreme exaggerations, we talk about like the face pushed in, or we talking about the dog exaggerated size, too big for his own muscles, too big for his own good. That ain't what we want for the Boerboel. That's why these types and varieties come into play. You want to keep the dog functional. You need the dog's mind. You want the dog to be able to balanced. You want the dog to be able to move. Not that it has to, but if you want it to, it can. It should be able to. You look at some of these dogs, what's going on in dogs is just a tragedy. And people say that they care about the breed. Let's look at the dogs of the past. How did those dogs get to be so awesome? Me personally, here we got some questions. Yeah, I'm familiar with the oldies. I love me a nice oldie. You talking about the old English bulldogs? What's my favorite color? Me, I like a deep, heavy black mask. I think that looks really cool. I like a dog with I like, of course, an all black. Then again, I do like the deep reds. Then again, I like a merle. I mean, not a merle, but a piebalds. I like piebalds. Then I like a black and tans. I like black and tans too. And then I like the beige ones. I like the piebalds. I like the black ones. I really like the red ones. I like black and tan ones. Really, I like cream ones. I like all of them. For real, it don't matter what color. As long as your dog is very well put together. If you look at my top 5 dogs, they was all different colors. There was no one particular color. Nothing hits like that black in the sun. But then again, it's got to be doing what the dogs has got to. So it's all different colors within the breed. It's a nice like a variety. Good question. We got another question. So how do you bring color into the breed? Well, the color is already there from the very beginning. What happens is, as we select based off of a breeding criteria. So you got to have I got my own personal desires, what I'm trying to arrive at. And that's why I was able to speak on all of the different colors. I like all of the colors, but at the same time, the standard calls for us to throw away certain colors. So all of those colors exist. And what happens is we select against that color, and then it doesn't be able to reproduce or be included in the next generation of dogs, and therefore is eliminated from the gene pool. So that's how colors, all dogs are that way, by the way. But what happens is we eliminate colors by selection through generations. So there's all different colors. We say, this is a great question. I love questions about, so I do have a question. If you are going of a male in your program, would you go with a high profile breeder or do some research on less or unknown breeder if the structure is there? I don't. So when that's a great question. And I'm going to make sense for you the best way that I can. I'm looking at the dog, period, point blank. And I'm trying to pair the dog up with my program, my ideals, wishes, and desires. So then I'm going to do a pedigree analysis. And I'm going to look at the ancestors and try to find this distinctive variety, who is reproducing it. And I'm going to try to breed towards that ancestor, or I want to find some common ancestors that keep reoccurring in the pedigree, or I want to look at a variety of males that have these same traits and features, and I want to see that, in the pedigree. I'm looking for a breeder. So I'm selecting based off the dog, but the breeder's eye. See, because some breeders are just putting dogs together to produce puppies. I'm looking for more of the connoisseur. I'm looking for the one that is evolving a bloodline. I'm looking for the breeder. So when you're talking about breeders, high profile, low profile, I'm looking for the connoisseur, the one that is have a known style or type that fits right alongside with my ideal. So I got a vision in my mind of what is perfect, and then I want to recreate that. So I'm going to shoot for a breeder that has that. But more so than the breeder, I'm looking at the individual dog, right? I'm looking at the individual dog, and I'm looking at the breeder as, why are they pairing this dog, or why does the breeder even possess this dog? I've been seeing them a lot lately. That's how I got here. Just to learn more and hear from owners how it's like to own one. Man, the Boerboel is super duper dog. What's the most sought after color in the breed? The most sought after color in the breed, I believe, is heavy pigment. That's the standard. Now, if we're talking about what's popular, what's the people looking for, can you clarify your question? Are you talking about what is the breed most desired color within the breed? Because there is no real desired color according to the standard. The standard accepts several different color variations, and there really is no I think that the color that is most selected against is white. I believe that, and I believe that the very purpose and is intentional is to distinguish the Boerboel from the American bulldog or the farmer's dog, the American farm dog. So that's why I believe that there is that strict criteria. If you notice, everything about a Boerboel is almost opposite of an American bulldog, like the colors, pigment, the cropping of the nose. The cropping of the tail, the color of the nose. They allow lighter color pigment. And so there's the funny thing about it. The South Africans will say, oh no, we can't take lighter colored noses because that'll burn the dog's nose in the South African heat. But yet and still, we got the South African, the bulldog is coming out the South, and the bulldog is, exposed to the same sun as the South African Boerboel, but yet the biggest litter I ever to produce was 18, and no, only 10 of them survived. Then I had a litter of 15, 16, and 15 survived, or 15 survived. So that was a good one. What is the color that is sold the most? Is the black. Is the most in demand. How was it the owner? They are pretty laid back. They always want to be close by your side. I've been breeding dogs. This is my 20th year for the Boerboels. I forgot where I was at with it, but what is the color that is sold the most? Black. But yeah, it only makes sense, buddies. Just use your logic a lot of times. That's all I'm trying to say. And they just want us to believe that it's crazy to have dogs that is only one style of dog. But yeah, they Velcro dogs for the most part. They always want to be by your side. But so what I do is with my Boerboels, and it might sound funny, but I run my dogs so they so tired. We're not gonna discuss that right now. But they so tired until the legs is like wobbly, and they sleep for the next few days. And they not all up under me, because then when they start getting all up under me and getting all close, getting all on me like that, I do it to them. I do it again. and then they just learn to leave me alone. They say because I get a bike and make them run next to it, especially if they. No. So somebody say I just started with the Boerboels. I came from Breed Toast E News. I like the temperament of the Boerboels. Appreciate that. I like the temperament of that toaster too. The idea that he's a quiet, he's supposed to do his job with not a whole lot of barking. I appreciate the tone. I actually considered getting a toaster. Do you guys DNA to see what colors they can carry and pair them up that way? Also, no. We don't really breed based off the color, but I have been considering it, seeing that we got the black and tan to try to reproduce the black and tan. But I don't know if that is actually how important is that. My goal is the ideal look style. I am curious though, because I did find out that you're able to test for certain looks in a dog. Mr. Price, shout out to Mr. Price, Integrity Boerboel, kennels in North Carolina, made me aware of the fact that Embark is able to determine the thickness in the rear, the thickness in the thickness of the bone. And I thought that was very interesting. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. I will have to look into, that myself because, they just make up so much stuff. I will have to look into that myself. I'm not sure how true that is. Mr. Price. Okay. Right, there you go. What is your purpose in the breed you choose? Well, me, I said it a million times. I feel like the Boerboel is like a perfect dog. It's got the athleticism. It's got the look. You can put that physique that we like to see, that intense muscling. You can take them and exercise them and make them shredded up and chiseled and show all of the muscle and the physique. I like a dog that is very intelligent. And then I like the temperament. So I feel that it's, from the toes to the nose, it's a very balanced, complete dog. And it's the ideal dog for me. I'm a family man. See my baby in the back. And I want to protect the things that I work hard for. So if you want to continue, that's why I choose. No, it's more so because of what I need. A dog fulfills, it's therapy also. The Boerboel is very, very therapeutic. That intense bond. They always want to be by your side. They always want to be with you. They always want to be right up under you. They trying to figure out, how could I be a service? What could I do to help you? What could I do for you? How could I be a service? How could I be of assistance? And I like that. I like a dog that's looking to please, that wants to be down for me. Oh, and I forgot all my stuff. This helps me also. I like a dog that can run. I like a dog that can go and when I say so. So the way that this Boerboel wants to please, I'm pushing them. And they can give it to you all that they got. And I love that. So XL Bully are truly Boerboel. Very similar. They got all of the different classes of XL Bully. You got standard. Well, bullies in general are a modern multi-generational cross, and you got a variety of breeds. The difference is the bully has been bred purely for the look, whereas the Boerboel has some purpose bred to it. They do that in the French community exactly. That's exactly what we're talking about. Yeah, and if you want to continue making the black try, you definitely have to use the DNA on Embark. And I'm thinking about that, collabing with my people, Savage Kingdom. They got it on lock. They know what to do. I'm sure if you breed a black and tan to the black and tan, you're going to produce some more black and tan puppies. Bully XL or truly Boerboels, we talked about that. They're very similar. I just love my Boerboel too. She my first dog. Thank you, Lasanda. I love my dog. Have we seen the Brazilian XL? Yes. I like the Brazilian XL. We got our own project that we working in the XL. Is the African Toro. It's something very similar. I love how they glue themselves to the owner. That is what I'm talking about, family. Butchers Boerboels. Shout out to Butchers Boerboels, y'all up in Wyoming. Got some super exciting stuff coming up. Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. I love how they glue themselves to the owner because now I can take off and this dog is still trying to keep up. So I'm riding a bike and this dog is running alongside. Or if I'm on a scooter or whatever I'm on, the dog is right there beside me trying to keep up. And he like falling behind. And I'm like, okay, slow down. Let me give you a break. And now the dog is chilling and he's resting and recovering. He ready to do it all over again. He's just that crazy about being about me. I love that in these dogs. But as far as let's keep it going. Yeah, that's one of the best things about a Boerboel, and then people don't know that that's the same thing. This that therapeutic value. It's that therapeutic value, the companionship factor. I got a friend to the end that's gonna be there every time I show up. You can't beat that in a dog. A Boerboel is that to the max. What type of Boerboel you have now? So what we try to do is we want to arrive at the perfect blend of all the styles. And that's what I believe is the ideal will be a little bit of each. But we got, you go through our dogs, we got all different ones. But what I'm trying to explain is nothing wrong with it. Let's get this concept that it's only one style, it's only one correct, it's only one. To get that out your head, that's wrong. That's crazy. Okay, so you prove that there is only one type of Boerboel? Prove it. Spanish fever. And you got the link to join us also. You got the link to join. They should have that protective nature. And it really is in the best interest of the pack. Based off of my experience with the breed, the Boerboel is trying to identify threats. He is very observative. He's calculating and assessing the environment at all times, and he's looking for subtle changes in the environment. So as things change, the dog is aware, he's alert, and now he's looking to you for cues. What should I do? How do you want me to respond to this? Now, that's where it's important for you as an owner to be able to step up so that the dog knows you got this situation under control. If you don't have a strong leadership, what happens with a Boerboel, the Boerboel steps up for you and then he takes control, which could be dangerous to the regular people in the world. I don't know James Brennan. And who is James Brennan? And we don't mean no disrespect to no one. Please. Do they all have that protection nature? And if not, what do you do with them? They should, though. Yeah, they should. Yeah. Where is Mr. Price? And this is opinion. Go get him. I'll call him up right now. And we could talk about it. Mr. Price is my guy. And then if you would like to justify Mr. Fever, with all due respect, pop in. I'm here. I'll be here for a while. I really got all night long. We can go all night long. Because I got proof and I got evidence. Yeah, see, the thing with the protectiveness is we have no way to measure how do you measure protectiveness? We don't really want to encourage all the dogs to bite. We don't want to encourage all of the dogs to be trying to shake something to try to do something. We don't want to give the dog the green light every chance that he looking to hit somebody, hit something. That's not what we want to do. What we trying to do is keep the dog cool, keep the dog calm. Y'all come on in, feel comfortable, sit down, have a seat, get you something to eat. And my dog, I'm not putting them up. That's what we want. So when we start encouraging this behavior and letting the dog know it's good for you to do that, we're talking about protectiveness in standard or should be. The difficulty arises in measurement. Well, I think what we could do, it is a way we could measure, but we need to know attentiveness, alertness. We need to be able to determine this language. Is the dog showing interest? Piquing the dog's interest. Is the dog curious? Is the dog aware? The environment changed, and then measure it. And see, I feel like what will really, really nice is if we all recorded it as a practice. That's why I encourage this out of Boerboel family. Leah, y'all come on, pull up some videos, shoot me the videos so I can really see. And it, you know, one of the things that I say is I want to encourage all the breeders to do more videos. I know that you want to only post the perfect pose and you're waiting for that perfect shot and you want to be perceived as a perfect person and a perfect breeder. But the real is, we know the truth. Show the dog's flaws. We know your dog got flaws. We know every dog has flaws. And that's where the video tells it all. Stop hiding behind them pictures. Go ahead, post them videos. Let's see the dog doing some movement. They don't want to show you that though. They want it to be perfect. It's misleading, it's deceptive. Please don't ask us about that on the thing. There you go. He's in a four-leg felony. Yeah, I trust my Boerboel more than I trust people. I feel you. That's where I'm at with it. And you would know. So what about those pups? This is a good trait. This is a good one. What about the pups that don't have the traits to defend and are skittish? Great question. Now, and this is why one of the reasons that I show so much handling and exposure as part of the exotic Boerboel family and breeding program. Because this handling and exposure, you don't have traits, those traits. You don't, what we're going to do, see, what we're speaking about when dogs have those traits that are skittish and lack this confidence and courage, that is due to mishandling. That is due to poor examples. That is due to lack of examples, lack of exposure. Because in the litter, what you do is when you are professional breeder and you have a great understanding of early puppyhood development, you handle your puppies daily and regularly, and you do certain things with them so they're associated closely with human contact and the beings and human the changes in the environment. And what the dog does is it builds up this stress tolerance. So when they come into a new environment, which is a potentially stressful situation, or a potentially stressful situation presents itself to this new dog, what happens is the dog is conditioned for changes. The dog has been conditioned to deal with mild stresses from very early on. So you have a dog that's conditioned to live in modern civilized society. This is a breeder's job. What happens is a lot of breeders don't have this understanding. That's why we have this show, to help you, to bring you along so you don't have skittish Boerboels. Because like you said, that's a felony on four legs. I like that. I'm gonna keep that one, write that one down. But It comes from puppyhood. A dog is a dog. You see these little dogs, Yorkshire Terrier doing bite work, hanging on a sleeve, shaking it up, aim to please. That's a dog's nature. Any dog could do it. And more so than anything is the dogs, what makes the dog breed distinct is the amount of energy the dog has for the given activity. If that makes sense to you, make it make sense. So the amount of energy that it was willing to devote to this activity. So a nose dog, he got a big nose. He got a long nose. I forgot the baby was in here. He got a long ears. And with that long nose and that long ears, he get more wind up in his nostril and he's sniffing more wind. And as he snorting that wind in, what happens is he getting more smell. He got bigger nose, so he got a better smell. So he like to smell. He like to do he wants to do the sniffing. He wants to snort. So he's a hound dog. And he leads with his nose, and his nose is his strength, and he likes that lends to his abilities, and so he enjoys it. It's just like a bulldog like to shake stuff up because he's got his jaws and his strength. So that's what happens. It's more so about a human being's interference and understanding in the natural way. This interruption of the cycle, this interruption, this pattern that the dog has developed have not conditioned the dog for successful interaction with the human in civilized society. So what happens is now the dog is afraid of everything because you haven't exposed the dog to anything. He afraid of everything. He haven't heard nothing different. So everything he like, oh my God, what is that? Just like because it's the unknown. Remember, the unknown. Once we become comfortable with this unknown, this place of discomfort, this is where the growth occurs. This is where the challenges occur. This is what the dog needs to be prepared for. So your job, this is what you have to understand as a potential dog owner in general. You need your dog. Oh, goodness. As a potential dog owner in general, you need your dog to be handled. You need to understand your dog has been dealt with and touched. Your dog has been picked up, not just locked up. Locked away in a barn in the basement. Locked away in a broom closet. Your dog getting out, getting his exercise, stretching his legs all the time. That's your job because and the dog is running up to you, not away from you. That don't start at 8 weeks. That started a long time ago. I love talking about that one. I trust my Boerboel and people. That's why I keep dogs around me. I love how mine look at me before he look. Right, like you want me to? Yeah, four-legged. Let me just say that. I told you I'm gonna write that down. So said puppy come from two working parents. Good question. So said puppy comes from two working parents. Are all of the puppies going to be working as well as parents? No. Some puppies is going to be working better. Some puppies is going to be working as good as, and some puppies are going to be working not as good as. And that's why it's important, again, for you to understand why are you getting a dog in the first place. So if you're looking for a dog that excels in working, then you're going to be looking for these certain traits and characteristics, and you want to be able to look at all the puppies the best that you can, and then you're trying to produce or select the one that most resembles your ideal. And you're thinking more in terms of energy when you're talking about selection. So you're basing it off of your understanding of the mom and understanding of the dad. So you analyze the mom, analyze the dad. You're going to say, oh, I like this in the mom and the dad, and I like this in the mom, and I like this in the dad, and I'm looking for this in the puppy. but it takes observation. You need to be looking at lots of dogs within your particular family or breed that you are interested in that have these traits. Then you're gonna select from there. Then you're gonna look at the puppies and you're gonna try to find the one that has the most of what you're seeing in the mom and the dad. Selection is key because this is what you're gonna be stuck with for the near future. And if you're a responsible individual with of a high morbid fiber, then you won't let the dog, nothing happen to the dog. Just like you're gonna take your responsibility if you was to adopt a human being. That's your responsibility. So before you adopt a human being, you're gonna ask yourself, am I ready for this? That's what you need to be saying about a dog. Yeah, there you go. Talk to him, Chuck. You actually, wait a minute. Yeah, you definitely need to spend time with your dog. It is not a piece of equipment. It's not a tool. It's not a toy. It's going to take some mental investment, a time and commitment, as well as financial. Oh, what's up, Ken? You say outlaw. Outlaw, that was a dog. Boy, I wish I retired him out to the country. I still see him every now and then, but that was a dog. Exposure builds character. Exposure is key. And that's not just with these dogs, that's with any dog. Exposure is key to life. When you're talking about cultivating, that's part of the issues here with like a large part of society. We don't understand cultivation. And that's rearing and caring for something and raising it up. Exposure, even with plants. Y'all know I raise plants also. The environment, the exposure to these different changes in the environment, introducing stress, low stress training. That's what builds character. The stresses, you put pressure. You see how does it respond to pressure? I don't know. I got children, wrestle with them. You know, you put some pressure on them. You know, suffocate them a little bit. No, don't do that. Scare them a little bit though. See how they act. I'm telling you, it's gonna be better. It's gonna activate their adrenaline. So I do that. And I think that it's important. Wrestle. What's up, Double R? For sure, though. For sure. We tried to. Outlaw ain't nothing like him. Nothing like. That was one of the best dogs. Woo! That was a real dog. That was a real dog. You learn a lot about yourself with these dogs. And each one of my dogs has taught me something. And with Outlaw, it was a lot of restraint. You know, I had to mature a lot with Outlaw. With him, sometimes I learned that sometimes you gotta dial it back. But hey, boy buddies, I told y'all I was gonna give it to y'all a little bit more if we went over. I hope that y'all enjoyed it, the show. I appreciate y'all. I definitely do. I'm happy to share. I'm documenting this journey. Thank you for riding with me along the way. I couldn't think of a better thing to do than try to pass down this knowledge and information best that I can. These are questions that I had that kept me, piqued my curiosity when I first came into the breed. And no one was willing to answer these questions. No one wanted to talk about this type of stuff. line breeding and how to which direction you want to go with the Boerboel breeding program. We appreciate you too, family. But nobody wanted to discuss this very pertinent information. And I love these dogs. They done everything that they have done for me. So I want to give back and do something for them. And you too. For real, boy buddies. I appreciate all of y'all. Every single one of y'all that spent if 1 second. Because guess what? We ain't getting none of this time back. So I took my time and I wanted to make it worth your while. And I'm going to continue to do that. Every week I try to get better. And then the same thing for you. Don't waste no time, boy buddies. Don't waste no time and don't take nothing for granted because you just don't know. And always remember, give them your best. I appreciate y'all.
No rush, go and move dumb. Back and forth, push and shove. Make your peace and love turn to peace and gloves. Now you got a deal run up. No rush, go and move dumb. Back and forth, push and shove. Make your peace and love turn to peace and now you got a deal run up. Hogan, Holman, old school, young jam.